Not too bad. You know, there's nothing like having a great 50-yard shot. Being able to dial in that distance, hit those shots solidly, and get them close to the hole, it really opens up a whole new world because you don't need to be nearly so bold with your strategy. If you're on a par 5 that you're maybe thinking about going for it in 2, if you don't have a good 50-yard shot, and when I talk about a 50-yard shot, I'm talking anywhere from really 30 to 70, kind of that gray area. If you're not proficient from there, then you almost always have to go for it, bringing in trouble, water, sand, that type of thing, stuff that you'd really like to avoid if you can. If you're great at this shot, then you really have a good chance to use your strategy, maybe lay up if it's a really tough spot, and then go ahead and knock it close and make the birdie anyhow because you're good at this one. Now, in terms of this shot, there's a couple of methods that I've used over the years, and I've struck upon one that I think can really help you. You know, for a long time I tried to hit an exact spot as I went back, and I used this method for a couple of years, so obviously I thought it had a lot of merit. But I found that if I made that backswing and didn't hit my spot exactly and I felt it, I could also feel that little panic of, oh no, I didn't go back far enough, and I'd punch at it or maybe try to slow down if I didn't swing back, or if I swung back too big. Now, I went into just eyeballing these shots, where I'd kind of walk up and treat it almost like a chip shot, where I'd look at the shot and see if I can go ahead and play it just by eyeballing it. I abandoned that one pretty quickly because the golf course really is sort of a visual nightmare. You've got a bunker that might be way short of the green or a pin that's back, you can't really see it. So all of a sudden I found that eyeballing it was no good whatsoever. So what I did is I actually struck upon something I call my half swing. Now my half swing, it can mean really whatever it means to you. A half swing to one person might be down in here, a half swing to another person might be up there. But you're basically going to try to strike upon what feels like a half swing to you. And once you do that, the way I want you to work on this is you're going to find a nice flat area on a nice calm day, and what you're going to do is you're going to take a handful of balls and play some shots with that half swing motion. You'll find that even after just a few shots of playing it that way, you'll be amazed at how consistent the distances will be. My half swing for me is up about this area where I can just start to feel a little stretch. That's about where I want to feel it. And I found that with my sand wedge, my nice half swing, just comfortable, goes about 57 yards. Now it may be kind of funny that I'm hitting you with an exact amount there, but you'll find the same thing too, is that when you're hitting this shot and hitting it consistently, you're going to find that it's going to be a very consistent distance. So again, for me, it's a motion that goes back just where I feel that little stretch. So again, for me, that shot goes about 57 yards. And again, you'll find yourself to be very consistent if you can hit this shot and hit it solidly. And that's one thing when you're trying to figure out what's your distance for these clubs, go ahead and hit it. And if you find that, you know, really I didn't come close to my half swing there, or if you miss-hit it, then sort of ignore that one. Wait till you hit a handful of good solid ones in a row, and then you'll really find some good distance control. Now, you're going to want to do this with your sand wedge, with your lob wedge, with your gap wedge, and even your pitching wedge. That'll give you 4 yardages inside of 100 yards that you can go from. So for me, my lob wedge is 49 yards. My sand wedge is 57, my gap wedge is 68, and my pitching wedge is 83. So this gives me a great reference for where to go from. That's the problem with this shot on the golf course, is that you only get one chance and it has to be perfect the first time. If we all got a chance to hit it a handful of times, it'd be no problem. But this is a different case. It has to be perfect on the first go. So this gives you a great reference from where to work from. Now, on that 57-yard shot, you know, clearly there's still some gaps between those yardages. Now let's say that I have 52 yards. Well, I have 2 options there. I can get a little more out of my lob wedge or a little less out of my sand wedge. How do I know which one? Well, I'm going to look at the shot. If I have a shot that I needed to skip a little bit and run, I'm going to go ahead and use the straighter face club and hit it easier. I'll take my sand wedge, take a little bit off of it, and go ahead and hit it to that 52-yard range. If I want to have it a little higher and stopping a little faster, I'm going to use my lob wedge and add a little bit to it. It'll fly a little bit higher and a little bit farther. Now, when I'm talking about varying those distances, adding a little, taking a little bit away, I want you to sort of think of it in an overall fashion, not so much figuring out what muscle does exactly what. Just like if you and I were walking down the street going to the movies, and if I said, you know what, we got plenty of time, let's just take it a little easier, well, you'd walk a little bit slower. And it would be an overall concept. It wouldn't be that you'd be focusing on your knees or your feet or whatever. You'd just walk a little slower. Or if I said, we got to get there faster, let's go, we'd just walk faster. Well, it's the same thing. If I'm going for a little bigger swing, I'll have my half swing yardage, and I might think, okay, it's going to feel predominantly like a half swing, but I'm just going to add a little bit to it. And that's how you're going to want to practice this shot, is to go ahead and add a little bit or take a little bit away. It's very, very subtle. Now, when I get ready to hit a shot with the half shot, even if I'm going to hit at just a little bit different distance, I'll go ahead and make my practice swing my half shot swing, even if I'm going to add a little or take a little away, because I want to have a good reference as to where to start from. Now, in terms of what can you expect in terms of your performance on this type of shot, at your handicap level, when you're up around 50, 60 yards, I really would want you to be able to fly at about 10 feet from your target. I want you to be surprised if you fly at 15 or 20 feet away from your target. Cut that distance in half down to 30 yards. I want you to be able to fly it within 5 feet of your target. So keep a pulse on that. It's something that's really important to be able to hit that spot. If you're flying it farther from your target than those sort of guidelines, I want you to put some practice into this shot. The half shot, it's really a good one. It has served me really well over the years. Well, I hope you've enjoyed some of those little scoring shots. At your handicap level, every little bit seems to help. You'll want to put plenty of time into this area of your game. The short game is all important when it comes to scoring. Remember, I want you to not only have a good short game, I want you to have a superb short game. Lots of practice. Go ahead and put some time into some of those unusual shots, some of those rough shots, and mainly that 50-yard shot as well. Well, I hope you've enjoyed our time together today. I know I did. Make sure to visit the website at golflevels.com. I'm Roger Gunn, and I'll look forward to seeing you at the next level.